Actually, the weather's not fantastic. It's a bit overcast, but I'm out with a purpose today. I'm going to go and meet Bruce Connolly. For those of you who are familiar with the channel, Bruce is back in Beijing. He's actually a writer, photographer, been involved and been in China for about 37 years. Been everywhere you can think of in China, travelled extensively. Fantastic, interesting guy. But about a year ago, he went back to Glasgow, his hometown, my hometown, and he's been in Glasgow for about a year, but he's just arrived back in Beijing. So I'm going to go catch up with him and see how he's doing. Be an interesting conversation, I guess, asking him some questions about the changes he's seen now he's back in Beijing and what he's seen when he was in Glasgow back in the UK. Stay tuned. Looks like I went to the wrong coffee shop. Stopped in a coffee shop where you saw me introduce today's video. Sat down, got a coffee, waited for Bruce. Turns out he's heading to a different coffee shop. So I'm on my way there now, but I passed through this lovely little Hutong area. As you can see, it's very, very peaceful. Just past some ducks as well. Beautiful. So it turns out that is also the wrong coffee shop. I'm going to go to the correct coffee shop. Be a walloper sometimes. Up.
Lila,
How are you doing?
thank God I didn't hear you. But I tell you,
It's hot today,
I
eh?
literally had enough.
Too hot.
Yeah, I mean, today was still like still going through a lot of the nuances that's got to be done to get myself sorted.
Well, let me get settled and then we can catch up.
And then,
Swear I won't forget this. Why do I regret this? In my mind reckless, thoughts are feeling endless. Sitting up, I'm breathless, anxiety's infectious. I feel so defenseless, betrayed and embarrassed. I hate being open, I hate being broken. I feel like an ocean filled up with emotion. Anger ain't a potion, rub it on the
as the key in China, have patience, do not get annoyed, do not lose your temper, do not shout, just say, yes, do fine, works out as well, works out.
move on till I let go. I can't move on till I let go. I feel so lost, never at home. Need to be strong, every breath though. Cause I can't move on till I let go.
你要跑那去啊？
Some people with me up the top.
We've been in there, we're up the top in there.
Yeah. I feel like I used to love this place. Oh hi, Beijing. Oh hi, all Beijing. Oh,
It's hot, eh? It's hot. How's it feel to be back in good old Beijing?
to be honest, Ian, now we're walking along or resting in the lovely alley Yangmei Zoo near Dashalar. I feel I'm back at home. The first couple of days, to be honest, I was tired. You know, the jet lag, long flight, the heat. You know, a lot of things still had to do to get sorted out to be back in China. Things like get your phone sorted out. A whole lot of little small issues take time. Should be got to get done. But it was certainly hot compared to me back in Scotland. That'd take a bit of getting used to. And I felt I was slow when I was walking because the heat was make me go very slow, stop, slow. But now I've come back to a place that I love, into the old alleys of here to the west of the Tiananmen, the front gate of the old city of Beijing. And I'm back to the area that people, everybody in Beijing knew that I loved. And I can feel it.
Just one thing. When you tell me, meet me in the Voyager Cafe, tell me which one.
I forget. Actually, I have to apologise.
No, it's my fault.
Because I'll be back here quite a few times to try and do some writing, some reading, and quietly have a coffee and sit amongst the feeling of Lao Beijing. Because, let's be honest, Ian, if Beijing didn't have the Lao Beijing, the old Beijing, maybe it wouldn't the same attraction to me as what it does. Because when I used to be living in Beijing in 1994, although I came in 1987, I didn't really see the old city. But in 1984, when I was staying in a hotel, the overseas Chinese hotel in Beijing, Santiao, near Beijing, quite near the Yonggong Lama Temple, I was in the old Beijing. And this was the real old Beijing, where you hear them going along bicycles, Beijing, Beijing. Then you hear jets flying overhead. Jets? How are they flying? You look up, birds. The birds, you know, the pigeons, some of them with whistles on the back, and they created this noise like a jet engine as they fly. You kept like, is the pigeons making that noise? That's incredible. You realise on top of the houses, people have got dovecotes, you know, the pigeon lofts up there. And then you started to go around the markets, you started watching the food, you hear the sizzling of the you know, making the meat on the sticks.
The skewers and the barbecues and stuff.
You see the noodles getting produced. You get the guy making the baozi, the buns, and it was all very traditional. Local restaurants where you go and sit there, and it, you know, and you hear the local voices, and you realise you've got to develop this voice. You say Dashalar. Get that tone, you know, for basic Senator.
You've been in Glasgow for what, best part of a year, maybe just a little bit longer?
13 months.
13 months. So how was Glasgow?
Some of it was fine. You know, I was very lucky to be involved with the Chinese community, particularly through a friend, Edward Sang, who was chairman of the Chinese entrepreneurs in Scotland. And he'd been doing a whole lot of things, photographing and involved with Tartan Parade in Edinburgh, where the Chinese were doing the lion dance.
So you were busy. You kept busy.
I was at the Lantern Festival in the City Chambers in Edinburgh. I was at the big concert hall in the Lyceum Theatre for the Spring Festival. One of the problems I found, of course, you probably find this as well. There's very little knowledge of China when you're back in the UK. And what people have heard tends, sadly, to be negative. And they don't really terribly interested in what you're saying, what you're talking about, or they think, you're just talking rubbish, you make it all up. And then they see your photographs. What's that? Beijing. No, really? Beijing. It's beautiful. Exactly. I was sitting in a cafe bar, it, the Rub Haws at Merchant City.
Rub Haws, yeah.
I was sitting there last week, and this twice. What happened to me? One woman came up to me. She was partly Dutch. Says, "I notice you're reading a lot of looks like notebooks, all handwritten." Yeah, that's right. It's all notes that I wrote through my journeys through China. She says, "That's fabulous." So you just wrote, you write it, yeah? She says, and he's sitting there reading it. She says, it's all these memories of what we did in China. And then a week later, I was sitting up at the bar, getting the same place where I was, and my iPad on, and I had a photograph there I was trying to work on. It was an old photograph from Chengdu, 1994, of the back alleys. So this woman was sorting up the drinks. And she says, "What's that? That's lovely." And I said, "It was China." "It's China." "Yeah, it's Chengdu." She says, "That's beautiful. Really, really beautiful." She said, "I've never been to China, but I loved it."
The China that you and I know is not the China that they see on the media. It's crazy.
It's actually, in fact, this woman who was talking to me, she says that to me as well. She says, "All I hear about the media is the negativity about China." No problem, people help me. They sometimes realise, he's going the wrong way. Point us that way. But there's nobody trying to cheat you. I mean, you look at this alley. It's a Saturday. You see people coming along here. They're walking quietly. Okay, Glasgow. It's a home, but it'd be noisy.
It's our hometown, right? So I love Glasgow. I want to spend time back in Glasgow, but it needs some attention, eh?
Yeah, it needs a bit more of a facelift. The city centre, although even the city centre, there's good bits, very modern, the financial areas getting built up. They're very good. And I was out last week before I came. I took the train up to Bulgai. We used to grow up there. It was lovely. It was quiet. All full of garden suburb, nice little, restaurant I stayed in, sat in there. Very, very pleasant. But you down in the city centre, you get, particularly at the weekends, it's noisy. But it's here, it's the weekend.
It's quiet, peaceful.
You've been in places here in Beijing, like Jing'e, with me. You've been in Blue Frog again at China World, and it can be busy, but it's quiet. People with different views. They're more concerned about football, what's on TV,
whether they're having to drink and whether they're going to make it home that night or whether they're going to fall down drunk somewhere.
That seems to be often. I enjoy my beer, but I love having a beer here. And Beijing, there's no problem drinking a beer here. It's good, but you don't go out to get drunk.
Just one or two beers.
Because if you go out to get drunk, people can look at you.
Yeah, it's not the done thing here, is it? No.
The business events where they come back, drinking too many. Bye Joe, give me. And then they get in trouble about that. But that's only very rare. Living in China, I've been 38 years now involved in this country. What it's done to me, particularly after the year living in Guangzhou, I became a different person. I was, understanding people much more. I was living close to people in China. I was part of the unit. I was living beside my colleagues, living beside the students. We're all one community. And back in the UK, back in the West, people tend to be shouting, blah, blah, this one, blah, 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 blah. If people shout, they get criticised. You see sometimes people, getting into arguments, other people criticise. If you go to the Forbidden City, the Google, you go there, you see the names of the buildings, Harmony. On either side of the central access line, you've got the buildings are laid out in harmony. That was the whole thing about the access line of the city. It brought calmness. When the first high-speed trains were opened, the CRH, China Railway Harmony.
Yeah. Is that what it means?
China, the name, Zhongguo. People in the West never heard that name. The correct name is Zhongguo, Middle Kingdom. The Middle Kingdom, the middle way.
Peaceful.
The calm way. And when you look at, China's never been a kind of country that's wanting to colonise and take over the world and make the whole world it's not. We've got a country. Sometimes you could, in the street, in the old alleys, sometimes a bit of a fight breaks out. The people all calm it down. Because, the West is, come on, get into him. But, doing. But here, it's...
Calm.
Calm it.
Peaceful, calm.
It's peaceful. Are we in the middle of a city of 23 million people? It's peaceful, it's harmonious. Apart from the sound of a kid on that bike would pass.
They're laughing away. What would you say to people that are thinking about travelling to China?
Yes, plan it out carefully, because you could be disappointed. You could actually end up, let's say, the CBD of Beijing or Shanghai. It's surrounded by Western restaurants. It's surrounded by all modern, high brands. Just come back to the West, but plan it out and get into the areas. I did a lot of travel on the old trains that we call the green trains. It could take 2 or 3 days to get from Beijing down to Kunming in the southwest. From there, stand at the window and just look out at China passing in front of you, rural China. And the scenes, particularly in the early days, you would see very, very, very traditional farming. With mules peeling the flowers of carts made of bamboo wood, with all the hay and everything, piled up on the carts. Sometimes cows pulling the carts. People on the bicycles go through the countryside. People with bamboo poles. Very, very, very traditional. Yeah, it really is lovely being here. I love it. Young maids who Hutong. Love Beijing.
Come on.
Right.
Let's go.
Right. The thing is, I need new knees.
So that mountain climbing you did when you were younger.
You know that one? Soba?
Soba, let's go.
Let's go.